Welcome to MWEB's Entrepreneur Zone. Today I've got Carey with me from Mia Mama. Welcome, Carey.
Thanks.
Tell us a little bit about your business.
Paul, our business started about 4 years ago. I was working and living in the UK, and my mum popped over for a visit, see the grandchildren, and she remarked on this maternity wardrobe that I'd collected over the last 3 years and how kind of stylish and on trend it was. And because she comes from a design background, that kind of seed was sown in her head. And then when I returned to South Africa, like a couple of years after that, we were shopping the one day, and she then, obviously that little seed started growing while I was away, and she then actually just suggested, you know, let's start something similar to those maternity brands in the UK, because there seems to be a big gap here of very much on-trend maternity clothes, and that's where it started.
So a family business then?
Yes, yes.
And you've been at it for 4 years?
Yeah.
Some challenges in that time, getting the production right and the design right?
Initially, finance was a bit of an issue. So, I mean, the banks, I had just arrived in the country. I didn't have much of a credit history in South Africa because I was away for almost 12 years. So I had to beg, borrow, not steal from, you know, my family, my dad, my mom. So it was pretty much self-funded up until we had a bit of credit history. So that was one of the challenges. And production was most certainly a proper headache. But yeah, we soon figured out where we didn't want to be, and that kind of just made where we want to be almost clearer. We wanted to have our own factory, but not the responsibility of managing all the people. So we kind of created our own recipe that worked really well for us.
And how did you get your name out there to begin with?
It's more of like a net approach. We just threw ourselves everywhere, and we took a massive risk, and we threw ourselves in as many places as we could on consignment. So it was a big risk for us, but we needed to get our name out there, and we needed people to have a taste of us. And as soon as they, you know, bought one item, then they'd actually actively look for us to, you know, expand their own wardrobe.
And now have you been able to get into some of the larger retail?
Yeah, we without sounding arrogant, we're very proud of ourselves. We export right into Africa, and we export into Australia and also the UK. We are proudly hanging in the shelves of Harrods, which is amazing.
And what's your market segment?
Fairly high end, but we've revised our strategy at the end of last year. We revised our strategy now going forward. So we've got entry-level basics, and then so our clothes start at almost like 100 Rand, and then right up to 1,000 Rand. So we try and scoop up everybody in the market.
And how do you stay in touch with what you should be producing, what you should be designing?
Well, we always on the lookout for trends, new styles coming through. We keep very much a firm pulse on the fashion in America and in England, and we kind of replicate that here.
And you take your lead from normal fashion rather than
Absolutely.
maternity?
Yeah. So what we do is we follow fashion and we engineer that into maternity wear. And our unique selling point is breastfeeding wear. So where women can discreetly breastfeed without flashing and, you know, feeling uncomfortable or self-conscious about what she's doing in public.
So that's an extension beyond maternity then, obviously.
Yeah, we're very product focused, and so we'll try and give our product longevity as far as possible. So she can wear her item from preconception right through to her pregnancy, and then a step beyond that is into breastfeeding, and some women breastfeed for up to 2 years. So it's not just an item of, you know, that she can only wear for 9 months.
And presumably within your area, word of mouth and social media is a big part of it.
Hugely. And online-wise, we spread ourselves across all social medias.
And what's been particularly successful?
Believe it or not, Facebook's been quite successful. Yeah.
And there's a big community. When people fall pregnant, they get very involved in the process.
Yes, yes. And also then they end up recruiting other pregnant people, birds of a feather. And they share, what women are like, oh, I love your top, where did you get that from? And we're very proud of our brand.
And obviously, with the price of textiles and the exporting, the rand and the volatility of the rand is a challenge for you.
Yeah, well, because we export, it's in our favor currently, but importing is a problem, and we burnt our fingers quite early on. In our research, we found this amazing brand who we idolized, and they just seemed to do everything right. And we imported a range of ready-made maternity wear, and we had signed up to be their distributors and everything in South Africa. But we didn't do all of our homework. And we imported this brand, and it was too expensive. And we were sitting with masses of stock. We didn't get our size curve right, and it could potentially have broken us.
And in terms of your production, is that local South African production?
Yeah. Everything is made in South Africa. We did it that way because it's easy to control. We can turn around garments much better. It helps with our cash flow, so we're not sitting with volumes and volumes of stock. Keeping a finger on the pulse here is just it's imperative.
There is quite a trend to outsource a lot of that work to the east, and you've bucked that trend.
Totally. It's a little bit more expensive, but in terms of saving money long term, empowering our South African people, keeping it local, and we've set up our own factory here. We set up our CMT controller. She's amazing. She's a single mom. She feeds many mouths, and she's recruited her aunt, her cousin, her niece. So it's very much a family business of a dying trade. CMT is something is because it is being outsourced. It's not a growing industry.
And I can see that you're passionate about the people that work.
Absolutely, definitely, yeah. We've got very, very special people who work for us and with us.
And what's the secret to keeping those people happy and growing them? We've
divided our company up into sectors, so production, marketing, distribution, sales, and all of that. And we're all specialists in our area. And what we've done is we've offered as much training as possible to all of those sectors, and we've just empowered each person in that sector to do their very best. And we're not slave drivers, but we kind of slave drive ourselves. Do you know what I mean? We all want to be successful. We're accountable to ourselves. So that's how we do it.
I'm sure it's a source of great pride for everyone when the garments are hanging in Harrods.
Yes, no, totally, because we've all had a piece of it, and that's brilliant. And we've got a massive family business. So as I said, our factory is mostly family members. In HQ, I work with my mum and a very good friend of mine, and we've just recently recruited a girl who's going to be head of our production. And she actually is my sister's best friend. Do you know what I mean? So we keep it.
That culture is important to you.
Yes, because we're all like-minded. We all share the same values, and our business ethics is all the same. And we all really trust each other, and we really enjoy working together. We like each other.
Managing production, the whole process from design, production through to distribution, requires quite a bit of coordination. Tell us about some of the challenges and how you've met them in managing the production.
Firstly, finding fabrics is quite a challenge. I mean, a lot of the fabric, because all the mills have closed down in South Africa, or most of them have closed down, most of the fabric has to be imported. And what happens is we kind of, in the palms of our fabric companies, so what they bring in is what we can buy. Sometimes the quality is not great. The prints are sometimes a year behind the rest of the world. So we've got to be quite clever about how we do that. So what we've started doing is printing our own fabric as well as dyeing our own colours, because otherwise we were at the mercy of lilac or lemon yellow and might not necessarily have been on trend in the rest of the world. So that was a challenge. So that's kind of how we've overcome that. So anyway, so we came across a wonderful, wonderful woman called Shirley, who used to head a production for a baby brand in Cape Town that was actually sold to an American company. And they then outsourced all of their production to the East. So there was a whole big group of amazingly talented CMTs left with no work. So we handpicked and held onto them really tight.
And quality, I mean, you've got to manage the quality.
Phenomenal. Phenomenal. They are just the best team. So what we did was we wanted to focus on what we did best, and that is design and distribution. And what she does best is production. So we've set her up with machines, everything else. So she's got her own business, and her business is within our business. So.
And that's a great way to empower people.
Yeah.
You sell online. Tell us more about how you've gone about that and how
Yes.
that works.
Our online business is very big. It's because South Africa is the areas in South Africa are so spread. We get a lot of business from places I've never even heard of. You know, sometimes an order will come through and I'm like, oh, Google, where is so-and-so? And it's in the top end of the Northwest Province, population of like 63 people. You know, so we sell a lot to upcountry, farms, nature conservation areas, and those women still like to be fashionable in their pregnancy.
And how do you get them to know about the brand and be able to find it?
Social media and SEO, search online, and by having a great website. You know, it's like our website. We did it in 3 phases. So we did it. The first website we did was in our budget, and it was very basic. And then as our company grew, we tweaked. And now we've just launched our new latest website, which we're all quite proud of. and this is what we want.
And on that, you have the range of products.
The entire range, and we're extending our range a little bit more and more into, you know, little gaps, and we always on the lookout for cool stuff, new stuff.
You've been running the business for a number of years now. What does the future hold for it?
So we've set up offices in a business park in Cape Town, and we've got our warehousing right next door, so everything's quite localized. And our next step strategically is to have our own branded stores. So that's what we're going to do at the end of this financial year.
That brings us to the rapid fire questions. What's the best advice you've ever received?
Keep your overheads low.
And your best moment as an entrepreneur?
I think that was when I went to England and I saw Mia Mama in Harrods. I just stood there, just beaming.
And your biggest mistake?
Buying in too much stock and not having done our homework.
What inspires you as a business owner?
My dad.
What do you look for in people that you work with?
Cheerful disposition and a sense of pride in what they do.
What do you need to succeed as an entrepreneur?
Commitment and motivation. Marginalize risks. You know, manage your risks, but to grow the business, you have to step forward. You can't just stay where you're standing.
What makes South Africa a great place to be a small business owner?
The gaps and the hunger.
What would you do differently?
Nothing. I don't think anything.
What keeps you awake at night?
My lists.
And what gets you going in the morning?
My children. Because they're at school, I'm a working single mom.
Carey, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you. We look forward to the coming weeks. We will bring you further South African entrepreneurs. I'm Paul Hobden. Thank you and goodbye.